Welcome to episode number 77 of About the Cards podcast, live tonight on YouTube. As always, with me, my host, Stefan Loeffler at Junk Wax Twins. He's playing hurt tonight. Ben Wilson at our trading cards, and I'm Tim Shepler at Big Shep 79. We are podcast by collectors for collectors, hoping to bring you a smart and insightful podcast discussing trading card collecting. We're live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific.
10 Central. Sorry.
6 p.m. Hawaiian.
Something like that, yeah. We need to do a show from Hawaii. You can always follow us on Twitter at About the Cards. We're available as a podcast everywhere. Check out the website aboutthecards.wordpress.com. Find us on the Flick Chat app. Talk about the pod breaking news. Third baseman Anthony Rendon signs a 7-year, $245 million deal with the Angels right before we came on live. That's more than I expected him to get.
It's like 1 p.m. Korean time.
But
what do you think about what old Rendon there?
It doesn't matter for the Mariners because we don't have a pitching staff anyway. So now instead of 6 runs, we'll give up 8 to the Angels. It's fine.
Oh, there you go. And by the way, we have a special guest. If you didn't notice, we have James Good at Run Good Life on Twitter. He's going to hang out with us for a little bit this evening. He is the communication manager for ComC, avid gamer. And has a huge passion for driving games and streaming. He has a podcast himself, Gaming Marathon. It's a weekly podcast. He was a third place finisher at the 2013 Pokemon Trading Game World Championship. I want to find out about that. He's an absolute nerd for pro wrestling, watches about 15 hours of content weekly, and he was recently married in August. So congratulations on that.
Thank you very much.
She still like you after the last few months? Or it's been 4 months now, and
I think she'll like me a lot more when I sell some cards and we take our honeymoon. So
okay,
that's kind of the long-term plan. So
yeah,
she'll like me a lot more.
I find my wife likes me when I tell her I sold a card, and she goes, "Well, if you did that well in that card, you should sell some more." And I said, "Well, no, I don't need to now because I sold that card."
My wife is always, when I tell her I sold a card for $100, it's how can we spend $125?
Yes.
Yeah, I literally having that exact issue today. I sold a card to Evan Mathis, his own rookie, for $100 on ComC.
Sucker.
We've been talking about that card too for a while.
Indeed, it finally came through. He sent me a best offer for 100 for like 150, and yeah, I'm gonna take it.
I knew that he was on ComC. I knew that he was on ComC. I don't know his username, but I have seen that he's bought stuff in the past, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You might look up the Upper Deck Sweet Spot rookie of his. He's the owner of the other card that's on the website right now.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah, no, outstanding. So let's get into it. I mean, we see a lot of the stuff on ComC and, being the communications manager. Just kind of briefly tell us what that looks like for you.
Yeah, so I handle all of the marketing and also all of the social media for ComC. So the Twitter account, the Instagram account, the Facebook, that's all content that I'm creating on a weekly basis. And then some of our marketing campaigns, we've really ramped that up in 2019. We have a lot of plans for 2020. We are launching auctions in a couple of weeks on eBay. So with that comes, a whole new stream of different marketing materials and things of that nature that we got to get out. And that's my week to week. I started in 2012 as a catalog expert, someone who just looked at cards all day and put them in the right spots in the catalog. From there, I dipped my toes in customer service. And then, I had always created videos for ComC. I've had a passion for creating and editing videos, well back into my teenage years. So I did some video work for them as I was a catalog expert. And then from there, once they kind of figured out I had a creative side and could do the whole Photoshop thing well enough and love to write, it just kind of seemed natural that I kind of slide into that social media role and then eventually that marketing role. So that's awesome. That's kind of my week to week. I look at a lot of cards. I handle a lot of non-marketing related things too, because I've put my hand everywhere for a few minutes at the company. I've kind of literally almost done everything. So there is a lot of stuff that pulls me in different directions, but it's a lot of marketing. It's a lot of content creation on a weekly basis for me.
Well, awesome. I love hearing that. Yeah, I did marketing for the company I work for until recently in a transition, merging. So know how that can go, and it's hard to be creative in the space and be smart about it. And I think that you're not following them, at least on Twitter, you're missing out on Instagram and some really good stuff there. And if you tag them, you're always responsive. I know when I've tagged you before and stuff, and this is before I knew you ran the handle. Boom! There was something back.
Yep.
which is really cool because a lot of more eyes get to see it, and then I found a lot of followers that way.
Yep.
If I've sent and you've liked or retweeted or said something to a post I've had, other people have come in and been like, oh, maybe I should follow you, and then you find some more friends, and that's what we love about it. So, appreciate that. You're a lifelong collector, a diehard Seattle sports fan, so you're probably not a huge fan of the Oklahoma City Thunder.
You know what? I'm actually not a Thunder hater. Because it tore my heart out, and there was a lot of people in Seattle who were just like, F the Thunder, I'll never be a fan. And then they became Blazers fans. And I was like, the whole time the Sonics were here, like, no, there's an I-5 rivalry. You can't just go be a Blazers fan now.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like, I knew that it wasn't on like Durant and it wasn't on any of the players. And I tried those first couple years. I really, really tried to follow the team. And it wasn't the same for me. It hurt and it just didn't feel right. So I became a Suns fan for a while they were doing the whole Steve Nash, Amari Stoudemire thing. And as an NBA fan, I'm kind of lost. Like I've followed LeBron's career from his very first game until now.
I was at that game, by the way.
His very first one
in Sacramento.
I remember the lob pass to like Ricky Davis, maybe. So I watched that game on TNT, and from that moment on, like I fell in love. It's like he's 18, I was 18, same age, and you realize like I'm gonna get to watch this guy play and be the same age, and it's kind of cool, like that dynamic. And so I've just been kind of a lost NBA fan for the last 10 years. Some seasons I'm into it a lot, other seasons I'm not. And now it's really weird with him being on the Lakers and me never historically liking the Lakers. So. But I follow LeBron, and I just catch any matchup now that I like, and that's kind of how my status is as a basketball fan.
Well, you can come to Sacramento. We'll take you on board.
Hey, Sacramento can come here because we thought we were going to get you guys.
Yeah, try to steal your team got stolen. You try to steal our team.
Hey, I know how how it feels to lose a team. I would never wish that on any fan of any because it's horrible. I would prefer that we get an expansion team, and I would prefer that like Las Vegas or somebody else gets one too.
Well, I have a feeling, and I've said this on the podcast before, we're going to see New Orleans move and Memphis move in the next decade. Kansas City and Seattle are the two cities I believe they're going to get one of those two teams, and it's just because of the economics, and I think we'll see. But being a Mariners fan, you PC Mitch Haniger.
Mitch.
And why Mitch? Out of all the guys on the Mariners,
you know what? I'll tell this story. It's a little stupid. So his first card is in 2012 Bowman, his first pro card, and he has the dumbest look on his face as he's rounding third base. It's just like this, like looking back to see if he's gonna make it to third. And I just always remembered that card. And when we got him in the trade with Arizona, a lot of people were calling it the Gene Segura deal. And I knew Mitch Haniger. I've followed the Brewers minor league organization since when they had like Matt Gamble and all those dudes on the Stars. And I knew Haniger was a baller. And so I just started, picking up his stuff. He had a rookie card in series. Yep. There it is right there. He had a rookie card in series 2 for 2017 and a rookie card in Chrome, and nobody was on him at all. Like it was just like, a $3 autograph in Chrome. I was able to pick up just about everything I wanted that summer before he was hitting home runs. He had 17 his rookie year, and I was still picking up things into 2018 before he had his All-Star campaign and before I started to have any competition. So I own 3 of his Topps Chrome rookie red refractors, 1 of his rookie red refractor autos. I have the rainbow for both of those down to the red. And wow. I paid next to nothing for those. So in terms of like PC, like from 2017, there are very few cards that I'm actually looking for because I own them all.
That's awesome.
It wasn't until 2018 when people caught on that he started, I started getting a bid war on cards, and I started to let cards get past me. But in 2017, early 2018, any card that hit eBay that I wanted, I have.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yep.
You also a big fan of Tim Lincecum, the Freak, which is awesome.
Yep.
So do you collect just singles, or do you build sets, prospect?
If there's an insert set that I really like, I'll try to put it together. But for me, it's just strictly singles. And especially with Haniger, who I went so hard after in 2017, I had this kind of like come to Jesus moment where I was just buying cards that I didn't like because they had Hanager on them. And that was a moment that I realized, like, I don't want to collect like this. So now I just buy cards that I either like visually like or from sets that I like.
Yeah.
Kind of my philosophy.
Yeah, I've come to that realization. It's like why, like, I collect George Brett, and he's like, I've said this before. He's more cards. I think twice as many cards, if not more, since he retired than when he played.
Yep.
And it got to the point where I was like, all right, I'm just going to collect all of his playing year cards and all the stuff after that. If I come across it, awesome. But I'm not actively going to look for it because it's just, it's just so, there's just like so much, and some of it's just the same photos used over and over again. And there's so many reprints of his 75 rookie. It almost makes me not want to look at those cards, look at the original one, because I'm so like, I don't know, I've seen it so many times done, and it's like, why do they keep doing that? I know it's an iconic card, but I mean,
my first Superfractor from Tim Lincecum was from 2019 Gypsy Queen, and it showed up on eBay for $100, and I didn't think twice about it. And I got the card, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And I threw it in a box because I don't like Gypsy Queen. It was just like, oh, it's a 1-on-1. I feel obligated,
Yeah.
And I dislike that. So I'm trying to get away from that, and I'm trying to only collect cards that I really, really like, or insert sets that I really like. For example, I don't do many basketball sets, but I like the top NBA hoops arriving now in the holofoil. It's kind of like this, looks like an airport or something, but it has a yellowish kind of card on it. But the holofoil makes it pop so much and look super gold. So that's probably going to be one of the first insert sets that I complete for basketball in a long time.
Yeah, I know. I opened a little hoops. It like kind of dances.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it looks kind of like a Southwest commercial. That's what it reminds me of, the yellow background.
It does. It totally does.
But it's a good card because it's just the player, and then you have some name and team branding on there. But it's really just focused on the player image, and I think most of the ones I've seen are full body, so it's pretty awesome.
I'm a little pretentious, so I'll probably go for the Winter Hoops version.
There you go. I like that, though, having something specific. I think we've talked about that on the show, guys, right? Like getting, like, you get back into collecting. A lot of us were out for a while, and you get back into it. And then you really start to kind of narrow things down. You really find something you love to do. Like, I know that Steph is all about the Diamond Kings. And
don't get me started.
What's up?
Don't get me started.
Yeah. And Ben collects all of his A's, but, even he's pulled back on some of the A stuff because it's like, how many Sean Murphy autographs? He said, how many Sean Murphy do I really, really need from 1 year?
Right.
And I feel like the same way. And it's fun to kind of go after those insert sets and build them. And you kind of look back, and like, I'm a huge fan of those Topps 87 inserts because that's the first year I collected. So I'm trying to go out and build all of those insert sets, the minis and the full size ones I've done over the last few years. So
yeah. It's weird. I actually found one thing that I don't know why I started collecting them, but the in the name name patches from 2018 update, I actually own 3 of Hanager 7. And so I like that the logo from the DC All-Star game. I like the jerseys for there. I have one of Hanager's, not a gamer, but just a replica. And yesterday, one popped up on the 2019 Triple Threads, the three card booklet popped up. And it's a Hanager 101 with the whole shield on it from the All-Star Game jersey. And it was like $400. He had it up for 6. I got him down. I offered 3. And he said 4 is like my lowest. And I was like, man, it's not even autographed. I don't like triple threads, but man, I like that logo. And so I manned up and I bought it just because. So I'm hoping that I can find my 4 other nameplates. And I'll not only have Hanager from, all the 101s from Update, but I'll also have the All-Star Game patch to go with it.
Yeah, that's all. That'd be awesome. So keep us posted. I'd love to see that come together.
Yep.
And so I want to talk a little bit. You recently had a pretty big pull that you you took it down to Dallas.
Yep.
So, and the video I think we talked about the video a few weeks back on the show is awesome because you're just opening packs, going through stuff, and then the certain card pops. Tell us about that. Tell us about the experience.
Yeah, so to offer some context, I really liked Prizm Draft this year. I don't know why. It was just kind of the precursor to Prizm NBA, and we all knew that it was going to be really hard to get Prizm NBA. We live in an area of Washington where there are just so many targets within like a 50-mile radius. So I just started going to these targets and finding mega boxes. And I had that Friday off from work. I went to a Target that I've never been to before because I was down close to the Factoria area, which is kind of close to Seattle. Drove like 6 extra miles east out of the way to this Target. I walk in, the Excel boxes are on the floor, but they're not opened. I kindly ask customer service, can you open the Excel boxes? And I explain their whole, like, I know, how they stock and I know how they have a vendor. I find my 6 mega boxes from Prizm NBA or Prizm Draft. I take them home. I don't do anything with them for a day and a half. It's not till Saturday night that I'm busting them because we had a lot going on that weekend. So this card is just literally sitting on my floor in a sealed box. So I'm busting, and I decided that I was going to do some videos for the product because I knew Prizm was going to be hot. So I knew I wanted to do videos for Prizm NBA. So I started practicing with Prizm Draft, and I'm busting. It's my final box, and I've already had a pretty good break. I've hit like Zion silvers, Morant silvers. I've had I think I hit like a Jordan Poole auto to 10. So I've already had like a really, really solid break. And so final pack, I know the autos, the last card in the mega box. I see it flipped over and I don't see it. So it was the second to last pack. I see it. I usually see the color on the mega box there it is. So you usually see the color of the auto because it's backwards in the pack. So if it's a red, it pops off the card behind it. I didn't see the color in that pack. So I put the pack down. I open the other pack, nothing in it. I go back to that pack. So I see that there's an orange behind the auto. That's pretty common. It's just an orange parallel. I'm like Ty Jerome's first card in the pack. I see the chevrons of the card, the blue chevrons on the side. And I'm like, those are Duke colors. I'm like, am I going to finally hit a Zion? Because I've already busted like 15 of these. I pull the card off. I see the Duke logo. I see Zion. And then on the right-hand side, I see the 101. And I just kind of set it down, like kind of hard on my desk. And I was like, no way, no effing way. I'm like freaking out. Like, I think like I'm getting punked or like there is no way that this card isn't a retail product. Like not a Zion, not a 101. And it's backwards, so I know it's autographed. I turn it over and I just like freak out. And I can't figure out at first if it's the true black, if it's like some snakeskin black because there's like blue on the top, And I can't believe that like the true black isn't a retail product, right? Like that's insane. I come to terms. I look on eBay really quick on my computer for what like another 101 looks like from that product. And sure enough, like I'm like, oh my God, like I'm freaking out, I'm just having a moment and it's all on video. So,
yeah.
So I hit that card at 11:30 p.m. on a Saturday night. I wake my wife up. She thinks like the house is on fire or something like that. I wake her up out of a dead sleep and I'm just like sitting for an hour. I sit at like near our stairs because our room is upstairs. I'm just sitting there like, what do I do? Like, what do I do? Like, I know I can't put the card on the internet without getting a massive reaction. I'm like, okay, well, my friend Jimmy, Kentucky Basketball Cards, just hit a 101 out of this product, and he flew from North Carolina to Texas with it, and it wasn't as good as this card, in my opinion. Still, his was the RJ Zion dual black mosaic 101. So still a cool card. This is like the Zion True 101, number 1 in the checklist. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, okay, I got to go to Texas. I can't ship this card. I book a flight, a hotel, and a car at 2 a.m. in the morning, and at 4:30 in the morning, I'm leaving for Seattle to catch a 7 a.m. flight. Get there afternoon on Sunday afternoon, Monday morning, 10 a.m., 9 a.m., whenever Beckett opens, I'm there with another gentleman who's a Swedish gentleman with like $70,000 worth of Magic cards, and we're both dropping off cards. So I go to ComC Dallas for about 3 hours. I hang out with Rich and Stefan and Angela. We grab some barbecue, amazing barbecue at Rudy's. Rudy's Barbecue or whatever, Rudy's County Store or something like that.
Yeah, country store.
Country store. Go back 3 hours later. I get the card. It comes back to the 9. I appeal. They said that the corners were bad from the factory on the back, and that's why they couldn't bump the corners to a 9, which would have given the card a 9.5. So I was okay with that. I was happy that I got a 9 or a 9.5. That was kind of, I knew I was eventually going to sell it, and I just didn't want any discrepancies with what's going on in the hobby with everybody doing returns on eBay, it seems. So I wanted to get it graded, so there was no question as to the condition. And yeah, it was just an insane 72 hours or so.
Yeah, that's awesome. We had Jimmy on too right after he got back, and his story. And he filmed that whole thing, and I was watching it. I was anticipating his posts, which were amazing. And you pull this card, and it's so exciting to see. Like I told him when I saw his video, I saw your video. I had the feels with you. I knew it was coming, but I still was sitting there like on the edge of my seat, like, oh, and you start freaking out. I'm like, this is what it's all about. Like
100%.
Yeah, I love it. Whenever I've filmed me opening cards, I never do well. So I've stopped because it always ends up kind of being like, eh. And when I don't, I end up doing a lot better. So my reaction is pretty limited. But when I get something good, I post. I just love that. And the fact that you booked a flight, got down there to have it graded and, encased. So, like, hey, this is the best it's ever going to be. It's, it was daily. Like this card was brand new, and it's secure for you. So that's pretty awesome. I love that.
For me, it was it was partly about the experience because I recognized almost as soon as I saw the front of it, I recognized like this is probably going to be the hit of my life. I mean, never say never, but also like I don't think I'm going to top this. And if I am, like, I'm way too, in the video, you can see like I say like I don't deserve this. And I've had a lot of people ask like, why did you say that? And it's just kind of, there's twofold. Number one, I've had like an amazing year between getting married and doing well in the hobby on some guys I invested in. So the hobby's done really well for me this year. Getting married, just having a really good year. And then like for that card to be in retail was just like completely silly to me. Once I kind of calmed down, I was like, I mean, like I've seen Jimmy bust hobby boxes of this stuff. And I mean, granted, he's done well too, but there are other people who have busted cases and not hit anything of this caliber. So like that was part of me thinking like, oh man, like why was this card in this $40 box,
Yeah. But the whole thing is too, you share the experience with everyone and that just adds to it. And I love the story behind buying cards like that. And then you always have that memory and that's fun. And I appreciate that. I want to know, tell us a little bit about your podcast. So it's called the Gaming Marathon. So give us a little background on it.
Yeah, so I actually joined I think we're episode 297 this week, and I joined right around 200, 210 or so. It's some friends who I've been playing video games with for about 15 years. We go all the way back to like original Xbox Live days, like when we were all just awful to each other at like Halo 2 and games like that. And yeah, we shoot the breeze about video games. We talk news, we talk what we're playing, just kind of any kind of controversies or any horrible games or great games, And we used to go like super long. We used to do 2.5 hour podcasts, and lately we've kind of had this cool format where we set a timer, and at 1 hour, like we just like call it. It's just like a hour, 1 hour power hour, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, it's just basically four or five friends who just talk video games every week, and we record it live on Twitch. We have a lot of stupid like little running tropes, just like little inside jokes, and we have a good following. I don't look at the download numbers often, but I know we do a few thousand listens a month. And for me, it's crazy because to me, I think that we're recording a show for 9 people like to watch. That's how I feel, but apparently that's not the case.
Yeah, no, I think we all feel the same way. I think the only people the only one I think that's anybody's family that watches is Angela, and it's just because I think Steph forces her to. But
my mom's watching downstairs.
Yeah, nobody. Yeah, so yeah, nobody else really. But to us, it's surprising. We thought we would do 10 episodes of this just for ourselves, and then just kind of give up. And we're hitting close to 2 years now, and yeah, that's awesome. And I love video games. I don't have as much time for them because it was kind of like I got 2 little ones now, and so it's like cards, the podcast, my real life, and then video games. So video games have kind of gotten away from me, but I definitely do miss them. My favorite thing is Grand Theft Auto. I like missions and I like fast cars. And then when you want to you've had a bad day and you just want to go around just blowing stuff up and shooting things, it's that too.
Yeah. So, yeah, definitely. And for me, that was where I was at for a long time. And that's kind of where I'm at now is where, I used to just, I did the card thing a little bit and I did the video game thing a lot. And then when get into a relationship that you actually care about, you start spending more time with your significant other. Everything else you do doesn't really matter as much. And now that I'm married, it's a real kind of walking a line and trying to balance everything well.
Yeah.
And so what I'm getting at, I just don't sleep anymore, and that's how I am able to do it all. So
yeah,
it's essentially me and Angela. I mean, between we just bought a PS4 for Black Friday, but we have
Nice.
a huge Switch backlog that we have to play, and I've got mounds and mounds of 5,000 count boxes that I need to sort, and it's like, yeah, it's 2 a.m. I should probably go to bed.
Yeah.
So I have a backlog as well, and then I find myself getting stuck on the dumbest games in the world. So I have played American Truck Simulator, which is a semi-truck simulation game where you just drive a semi-truck around real world areas. I've played it for something like 82 hours this year, which is stupid to me.
I showed my father-in-law that, and he laughed because he does that for a living.
Mm-hmm.
But he was like, "Dude, it's pretty close."
It's close, and I have I started to go down the rabbit hole of putting together like a full like rig, like a wheel and pedals, and like I was gonna go the whole distance. And then once I started realizing that some people have spent like legitimately $5,000 on a set, I'm like, well, I'm obsessive. I will do that, so I cannot keep pursuing this.
Yeah,
like so.
Have to put it down.
So you were the third place finisher in a Pokemon trading game. Okay, so I'm Pokemon came after like I was like probably junior high school, so that was like when that really became a big deal.
Yep.
And so I was really into sports and then girls, more sports than girls because they weren't as into a big fat guy. But hey, so tell us about that. What's that like? I mean, third place in a world championship is pretty amazing.
Yeah,
and just give us some background.
Sure. So, I mean, Pokemon cards hit right around the time I was 12 years old. So I was in the midst of the hype, I was in the Charizard hunt. I was ripping off my friends, for the better holos, selling those to a shop a little bit away.
You have Ancient Mew.
I don't have Ancient Mews anymore. But I mean, so I was always involved in the hype. As I got older, I grew out of it, but I still like most people do trading cards and they know how to like buy and sell. Most people, especially people on ComC, have no idea the value of Pokemon cards. So I've kind of had that on lock for the last little while in terms of like flips and stuff. But like even when sets were coming out, like I was still flipping base card stuff in first edition, finding it locally on Craigslist and just dumping it to shops and stuff. So that's always kind of been a running thing for me. So I played poker for a few years there. I love poker. And then Black Friday came, the bad Black Friday where all the online sites got banned. So stopped playing poker, but I learned a lot. Like I learned, reading skills and all that, how to read people, how to get. So flash forward a couple years and I see some newer Pokemon cards and I was like, I want to learn how to play this game. I've touched a million of these cards and I've never played this game once. So I learned how to play and I actually kind of like it. So I spend $300 on a competitive deck and I just drive up to Vancouver one Saturday. I finished 4-3 at my first ever event, and there's some pretty serious local players. Apparently Washington was a hotbed for competitive play. So I do 4-3 and I'm hooked. So I have to buy every deck I could play at the time. And just so that's a money sink to just every 3 months, keep buying new competitive cards. I play a little bit in 2012. And then in 2013, I decide I'm going to try to earn my invite to the World Championship. I play something like 40 or 50 different events every weekend. It seems like I'm playing Pokemon for 9 hours every Saturday, sometimes every Sunday too. I'm traveling to California. I'm traveling to Oregon, traveling to Vancouver to these events. I traveled to Indianapolis to play at the National Championship. And I get my final 50 points that I need for the World Championship to earn an invite to the World Championship in the last possible event of the season. So I squeak into World's very last event, get my invite. I'm just a rookie. Nobody knows me. I'm playing against people who have won the World Championship. I'm playing against people who are perennials there every year. I think the field was something 132 players the year that I played. I finished 7-2. I think 7-2. I might get these numbers off, but anyways, I enter the top 16 play because after play you get seeded into a top 16 bracket. I enter in at the 8th seed, I think. I win my top 32 top 32. So 32 seed in the playoff. Win my top 32, win my top 16 against somebody who's been at Worlds for like 4 times. My top 8 matchup, I'm against an undefeated player from Japan who's like the fan favorite from Japan, playing like some crazy deck nobody had ever seen before. He's undefeated all weekend long. So I'm like this rookie, nobody knows me. And I just happened to beat him. Like, not only that, but the game was streamed on Pokemon.com at 9 p.m. our time, which is like prime time Japan.
Right.
Like, I'm now like the villain of Pokemon, and then I lose the next round to my friend from Oregon. So
no, that sounds like a movie.
Place. Yeah,
we need that new movie needs to be made. If they're making a movie about Richard Jewell, we need to have a movie about that.
It's fun, dude. The competitive scene is, I know a lot of people know Pokemon cards, but there's like, it's kind of like an esports level competitive scene. Like, it's small, nobody's heard of it, but the people who do know are like heavily involved, and they like heavily care about everything that's in that community.
Yeah, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And so you're a big wrestling fan. Who's your all-time favorite wrestler?
Chris Jericho. Like, no questions asked. I mean, Jericho, Shawn Michaels, Randy Savage would be my 3. Had he not turned into kind of a dick, CM Punk would have probably been up there on my Mount Rushmore. He might still be, but yeah, I would say Chris Jericho for sure. Like, he's done everything like in his career, and I mean, he's still doing it. So
yeah, that's cool. I have a buddy that I used to work with named Noah who was all into this and used to do YouTube, had a YouTube show, I think, something like that, and it's like sports cards, like how heavily people are. And it's like sport. I mean, like. People are like legitimately live and die with what's happening and what's going on, and it's, everybody kind of laughs. Sometimes people laugh about the wrestling, or they'll laugh about Pokemon, or they'll laugh about sports cards. But for the people in it, it kind of takes away from the day to day, but it's some of the most passionate people,
right,
are in these hobbies and enjoy that. So it's awesome. If you were a wrestler, what would your name be?
God. We had a backyard wrestling federation when we were like 13 and 14. And so what was my name? Well, my name started off as Kick-Ass Kid. I thought that was a cool name. And then my friend liked it so much, he just literally ripped it off from me and was like, you have to find a new name. No, it fits me better. And we would like record these on an old like VHS camera and stuff. So we thought we were going to make it big. I was like the Dark Angel after that or something like that. I don't know. I would like my favorite characters are the ones that are like not like over the top and who are just like pompous, and just, I like heels more than I like the bad guys more than good guys, because it's just so easy to be a bad guy. And I think it works. Like, I would enjoy it because like I try to be very like, cordial with everybody. I'm just generally like a pretty jovial person. I feel like I come across. It would just be fun to like just completely switch that up and just be, rude and mean and like go out of your way to just be an over the top jerk to everybody. So I would definitely be a bad guy.
So your name would be Ben Wilson.
Listen, you being a comedian tonight.
Yeah, I love it. We always ask everybody this when they're on the show. If you could only own one card that you currently own, what would it be and why?
Okay.
It doesn't have to be value. It just the card itself, it means that much to you.
Cool. I can tell a story with this. So 2007 Bowman draft, red refractor, Tim Lincecum. And very specific, number to 5. Reason why. So I worked in a card shop in 2008 for about 6 months. I pulled that out of my only hobby box I ever opened of that product. Tim Lincecum was my favorite pitcher in the world. Him and Felix Hernandez were my favorite pitchers in the world at the time. And I pull a blue and I pull the red refractor number to 5. I didn't know how hard it was then to pull a red refractor. It's, obviously we all know now it's pretty dang hard.
Right.
But I pulled a red refractor. Not only that, there you go. There's a Masters Division bracket. So you can see top 16 against Gino Lombardi, who's actually a really good friend of mine, against Takeya Yaneda, who was undefeated from Japan. Cool story about Yaneda, I guess, even more speaking to my greatness for beating him. He came from Japan to Vancouver without an invite that year to play in the World Championship. He grinded into the last chance qualifier, so he went undefeated in that event, 6-0, and was one of only 2 people to earn an invite to play the next day at the actual World Championship. So he came over like thinking he could earn an invite. He earned it, went 6-0 in that tournament, went 8-0 in Worlds, had won his top 32 and his top 16 before facing me. So he was 16-0 on the weekend before he ran into my deck. And he had a deck that he should have beat me like 7 out of 10 times. And I just beat him in a 3-game series. And that was that. So kind of crazy. Anyways, back to the Lincecum. I pulled this card a couple of years later. I really needed some cash, so I sold it. I think I got like $300 or $400 for it. Was kind of devastated. Was like, whatever, it's just a card. The very next year, I went looking for it. Could never find it. I found it earlier this year from one of the other Tim Lincecum super collectors who was willing to part with it. It's not the same serial number, but for me, it was like an 8-year chase for this one specific Tim Lincecum card. So like I'm never going to let that card out of my sight again. It just sits in my office at ComC.
Nice. That's cool. I love that. So as we wrap up, where can we find you? Where can we follow you and enjoy your content and everything?
Yep. So, I mean, my personal content, everything is at Run Good Life. So that's Twitter, Instagram, also YouTube, which I've been doing a lot of box breaks on pretty much ever since I hit the Zion 101. I have this mindset that I need to bust everything on camera now. It's like, it's a burden and a blessing. It's a burden because like, I feel like I can't just go to Target and bust one blaster anymore. But it's also a blessing because it's given me just tons of pretty good content, and the videos are doing a lot better. I expected like every video to get 11 to 20 hits, and they're actually like 100 plus after only being up for a few days. So a lot of my breaks, basically everything I've busted like almost $3,000 worth of retail Prizm NBA so far. All of those breaks are up on my youtube.com/rungoodlife. And then all my ranting about the hobby and wrestling and whatnot, you can catch on Twitter. So.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you hanging out with us tonight and sharing the knowledge and getting in some different topics that we haven't had before. I don't think we've talked Pokemon or wrestling like this before, but it's good to get different perspectives. And I appreciate you sharing the story about the Zion and what's going on there. And we'll keep following you. And we appreciate you. And have a great night.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Yep.
So we're going to go on to the normal part of the show, but it was great to have James on tonight with us. I like having new folks on, especially like that have a diverse look at collecting and kind of do it a little bit different way and give a different perspective. And pretty fun tonight. So we'll hop into the week that was last week's releases. Topps Living League, week 91. Week card 265, Matt Chapman, third baseman of the triple or the quadruple A's. And then card 266, Kyle Hendricks of the pitcher of Chicago Cubs. Unknown numbers because they haven't been posted yet. But check out Topps Living Stat for full breakdown of where these cards will fall, respectively, in the set by team and by position. Some of those will come out tomorrow, and we know how to have them up. 2019 Bowman Draft Baseball, 2019 Panini Rookies and Stars Football, 2019 Panini Obsidian Football, 2019 Panini Extra Edition Baseball, and 1920 Panini Prizm Basketball. And here's those living cards. So Matt Chapman with his like weird 13-year-old mustache, and then Kyle Hendricks. So yeah,
naturally relevant people.
That's fun.
How many did you pick up, Ben?
10.
I only pick up one of every card when it comes to that. I'm not other people.
Other people.
Yeah. I'm not Tim and his Garrett Hampson obsession. By the way, has a card in Topps On Demand Rookie Review if you haven't seen it.
Awesome. Hot off the press is new releases. Topps Living Week 92. Card 267, Roy Halladay, Hall of Fame pitcher, Toronto Blue Jays, and card 268, Mitch Keller, rookie pitcher of the Pittsburgh Pirates. The best quote I saw about this today was, shouldn't Halladay not have a hat and or jersey on? Should just be no logos because that's the way he went into the Hall of Fame. His family couldn't decide which team to select, so he went in capless. I love the Halladay. I hate that. That was the ugliest Blue Jays logo.
Oh, I love that logo. Maybe not the best, but I love it.
It's terrible.
I love it.
Those jerseys they had back in those days were similar to the Angels with the wings.
No, the Blue Jays are great.
Awful.
Great. Fantastic.
But yeah, 2 pitchers. So woohoo. Yep.
And actually, to that, CBC.ca, late Jays grade, Roy Halladay elected to Baseball Hall of Fame.
Oh, that could be the inspiration.
Pretty sure that's the source photo.
Yeah. Now I'm. Yeah, those are terrible uniforms, by the way. All right. So
No, they're fantastic.
We had a 2019-20 Panini Prizm Fast Break release this week. 160 box, 18 packs per box, 5 cards per pack. You're going to get 1 auto and 12 Prizm. Now, this is different, yet similar to regular Prizm. It's the same 300-card base set, but Fast Break features the following exclusive Prizm sets. They have the Prizm Fast Break Blue out of 175, reds out of 120, purples out of 75, pinks out of 50, bronze out of 20, neon green out of 5. There are some special fast break variations for the following inserts: the all day fireworks, go hard or go home, luck of the lottery, and that savage. It's a very colorful addition to Prizm this year. They had it the last couple years, I want to say, and it's printed on its own exclusive stock. So it's, I guess, a little different stock than the base set. So we're not gonna spend a ton of time on it because it's just basically more colors to add to the Prizm Rainbow, which I think is like at 7,000.
So yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You know, one, how many boxes of this are you gonna open, Ben? Dad, Tim,
Me? None.
First time.
0. All of us. None.
You're out.
The only go ahead.
Doesn't that say 18-19 NBA trading?
Yeah, that's because that's so the link I used. So if you go up, the information's 1920.
Right.
The pictures are 1819. I don't know. It's go to all of the information out on this.
GTS or Panini that submitted it.
All of them. All of them had the same information. So every website I went to, the Go GTS just had the information broken down the best visual way. So that's why I picked that link to use. But yeah, they all had the same bad information.
Sounds like a Panini problem.
Yeah. 2019 Bowman's Best Baseball dropped as well. It comes out Friday. It's $145 a box, 12 packs per box, 5 cards per pack, 4 autos, 1 refractor and 12 1 atomic refractor and 12 base refractors. It's a mix of veterans and rookies. The prospects and draft picks will have a similar collection of cards. They're numbered differently, making them similar to inserts this year. Ryan Cracknell said it's the Bowman equivalent of finest, which I like. That's a good.
That's a fair comparison. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, can we not talk about coming out in relation to products and releases or shoulders?
Oh yeah, that Steph's playing hurt because his shoulder popped out again for the umpteenth time.
17th.
Wow, it's almost old enough to be legally vote.
Indeed.
The bulk of the signatures fall under the best of 2019 autograph set. There's also an inserts set that hits up the 99 franchise favorites, and then also a 99 franchise favorites autograph sets. Those are case hits.
Of course.
So it goes back 20 years, which is kind of cool. So it's weird. Last week we had Bowman Draft and Prizm Basketball. This week we have Bowman's Best and Prizm Fast Break. So a lot of Prizm and a lot of Bowman the last couple of weeks.
Prizm.
What's it?
I said stay tuned for next week's Bowman and Prizm.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Bowman's Best it's okay. I feel like they should take some of this product and put it just in Bowman.
Yeah, Bowman's Best is an insert set, or at least that's how I've always seen it. And I believe a few years ago it was a subset of one of them.
2013, I think they soft launched it in as an insert.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're sharp cards. They have a good, and that's why I think they would be better off, but hey, what do I know, right? Got to get so many products out the door.
Not many.
2019-2020 Panini Donruss Basketball, which comes out Friday, $190 a box, 10 packs per box, 30 cards per pack. You're going to get 1 autograph, 1 mem, and 60 inserts and/or parallels. A 250 card base set with 200 vets, 50 rated rookies, and the rookies are going to make up most of the autograph content. They have next day autographs, which will be on card for more than almost a little over 40 of the rookies.
That's a cool looking card.
Yeah.
An idea.
Yeah, so they have some
your cereal.
Yeah, there are a few food favored inspired inserts this year. Crunch Time's one of them. They have the $98.99 Skybox Premium, that's Jam, and the $98.99 Extra Century Dunks and Go Nuts. So those are in there. And then the Jersey Kings and Rookie Kings, they're gonna only find those in Hobby. But I thought those were cool looking cards. Because they use the diamonds, like the old Diamond Kings logo, and put a little jersey swatch in there.
Right. Well, the Gridiron Kings, the Court Kings, the whatnot.
Yeah, I just like it's just kind of cool. So I'm just surprised because Bowman or Donruss basketball is normally not $190 a box. I mean, it just kind of tells you where we are with the basketball. I mean, this is an entry-level product, and the box is selling for almost $200. I mean, so I don't know what your guys' thoughts are, but I mean, I think we're going to continue to see these basketball boxes be very overpriced or speculated on at this point.
That's all it comes down to. The more speculation we get in the hobby, the higher all of these prices go, the more people that get pushed out on the fringes, and the more this becomes a speculator prospector's haven. And as soon as that bubble bursts, then what's going to end up happening is you're not going to see a whole bunch of people left over to collect on the secondary market. And whether or not the hobby survives, and what it looks like on the backside of that, it still might be a few years, of course, but it's going to happen.
Yeah, to kind of give you an idea, a cost of that box is about $80. So
yeah, Donruss is definitely a sub $100 box, and I would expect it to be, based on like opening day and big league baseball and some of the lower end products in baseball, you would think that all Donruss, regardless of sport, should be about $60 to $80, 90 on the high side. Anything above that prices Donruss way beyond the level of affordability and the expectation. I mean, Donruss is just that next step above. It's similar to Flagship, as far as where it should be priced.
Well, and outside of Prizm, it kind of is Flagship. Prizm hoops, along with those two, it really is kind of Flagship for basketball.
Yeah, it looks like today Bowman's Best got pushed back, as Tim said here, to the 18th. So
no, I think it's been the 18th. I've had it on my checklist. I was going to ask you that because I've had it listed on my spreadsheet for like 2 months now as the 18th.
Oh, well, I saw it the other day on Blowout as the 13th. I might have gotten confused, but I thought it was the 13th. But, we'll talk about it next week as a brief overview.
Yeah, it's a throwaway product at the end of the year, right before Christmas. And nothing stellar.
Yep. What's brewing next week's releases? 2019-2020 Upper Deck Synergy Hockey, 2019-2020 Panini Origins Basketball, and 2019 Panini Donruss Optic Football, and I guess now Bowman's Best. Infield chatter, a hobby talk section. So, the first 582 Montgomery Club exclusive that was going to be released to these guys that are in the club. Bowman Heritage, 2019 Bowman Heritage has some issues. At Shop Card Hub, or DB Cooper, as you probably know, tweet unforeseen circumstances so dark and ominous. So Topps put out a post or an email that said, due to unforeseen circumstances, Bowman Heritage boxes will have a shipping delay of 3 to 4 weeks. We know that not all of the 582 Montgomery members had a chance to take advantage of the pre-sale window. Therefore, the pre-sale window will open again for a limited amount of time. We apologize for any inconvenience that this may cause. So there's some speculation from collectors. So Million Cubs, our buddy Bo, apparently the pre-sale window was open for a couple of hours, and many of the members were either slow or preoccupied and upset they missed out. Pretty sure that's why there's another pre-sale round. OAC cards, or Once a Cup cards, the email said limit 3 per member. The website said 3 per cart. Some members did transaction after transaction of 3 box orders, essentially buying up the allotted pre-sale amount. Heard some has got as many as 48 boxes. Other reasons for the delay: Jordan Ventura was included as a rookie or a prospect, so he was listed originally in the checklist as a rookie. OAC card said on top of that, it's updated information. Jordan Alvarez, Logan Allen, and Zach Collins were bumped from the vets, lost to the prospect list. Hearing speculation that some or all have to be reprinted, repacked, which is leading to the shipping delay, which makes sense because they've always pumped Jordan doesn't have a base rookie, and so a lot of people are going, oh, he's on the rookie list. This is going to be his first true rookie card, and hopefully they correct that because it's not supposed to pop until Series 1 of next year just because of his debut date. God, we've talked about this a little bit. Kind of oops.
Sorry, I had to step away. Cat
That's
was going
okay.
fucking nuts. All you could hear in the background was meow, meow, meow. Sparky, shut the fuck up.
Well, this is good radio.
It is. Now, you named him Sparky after Clark from the Clark Griswold, right? And Vacation fame.
Okay, so what had happened was when we lost our last cat, we went and picked up the first cat, and we had a great name picked out for him, so we named him Linus. And then a couple days later, he was kind of lonely and depressed because he previously at the place he was at, he had all of his brothers and sisters. So we went back and picked up his sister named her Zelda. Well, when I picked up Zelda, there was only one left. And later that day, my dad goes, you can't just leave the third one there. So me and him take a trip back there and pick up that cat. And we were out of names, so we just left it with what they named him. So he's
Why did
always
you name
been
him
Sparky.
Kirby?
Because that was my previous cat.
Oh, or what was the owner of the Dallas Stars?
Fuck Norm.
Yeah, Norm.
No, I've gone with Kirby and I've had Sammy.
Okay. Sammy Sosa, nice. No, so I just, it doesn't look great that they kind of flubbed this already. And some folks also said, hey, they probably have their employees working, ahead of time, right? And so they're already working on 2020 checklists as we're at the end of the year. Not a lot of products are coming out like this. And maybe that's why they actually, but it's like, there's not a QC for someone to kind of like review and just, hey, a second set of eyes on this, or
with an exclusive product where you've got to buy into a very exclusive club, a limited club, and then you're going to have, different exclusive benefits. You would think that they would go above and beyond. This isn't like Topps Now, and you misspelled Josh Harrison's name to John. Things happen, right? This is something that you would think that they would go all out because they've promoted it for the second year much more than they did the first year.
Yeah.
And so many people hopped in. You would think that this would be, and Bowman Heritage is the first year we've had it in some time. You would think this first one, all of the eyes in the hobby are on something like this right now. And to make a mistake, whatever you want to call it, you would think that the due diligence on this one, there's plenty of other products throughout the year. There's 37 of them. Make a mistake on, high tech, nobody cares.
Yeah, people pay what? It was like $200 to join the club.
Right.
You give them an exclusive, and you limit. And my other issue is I don't care about the shipping delay. It's fine. At least they're correcting the mistake. Okay, give them credit for that. But they made the mistake. But the fact is that it was 3 per or 3 per, member. But no, it was 3 per cart.
Right.
So if you're smart, if you want to put this in an advantageous position for yourself, and you think this is going to be a great product, because I think they were $100 a box, which isn't bad.
No.
And go through and buy up a bunch of it early because you're the first one to be able to dig into the kiddie pool with it. That stuff's what irritates me. And not that I'm going to go buy it or going to want to buy it or any of that stuff. I'll probably pick up some singles or whatever with my guys, but they got those folks that really got a nice benefit. So,
well, and it seems like at least as far as how they released it, was a very typical Vikings playoff run, where they do well enough and they advertise well enough, and you pay all the extra money to get all the extra seats, and in the end, at the very end of the year, they just punt it or brick the field goal.
Yeah.
it's kind of what they did this year. Most of Topps' releases have been solid this year.
Yeah.
They released their extended super premium edition Clubhouse. Oh, well, we screwed up on the ordering, and yeah, the field goal went wide left. Yeah. Thanks, Gary.
Collector's Vault updates. We've talked about this, I think, since like July.
Yeah, it's been going on a while.
Paul Lesko's been tweeting a lot about this, but there was an update in the new filing. An individual named Roger Lynn is identified as the potential person behind Collector's Vault. Panini is determined in view of materials it received in response to a subpoena to eBay. Panini now wishes to amend and add Mr. Lynn as a defendant. There was another defendant, Mr. Teeny, they're gonna keep in there. There's a lot. Paul Lesko. If you follow him at Paul Lesko, he goes through in this in great detail. There's a lot of legalese, and he kind of goes through it all. But they really identified somebody that I think is truly behind it. And if you don't remember, somebody was selling cards on eBay, and they looked. Some of them were like Topps cards. It was like a 2018 Topps card of Jordan Ventura that they had made with a rated rookie logo and also a Topps rookie logo on it.
Really pest.
And it was really ugly.
The first alleged defender, Steve Tierney, has he's petitioned the court to drop him from the case. Now, I believe Panini has also petitioned the court that if he's removed from the case in lieu of this new guy, if they find any evidence to suggest he also is behind it, that he can be added back to it.
Back in,
we're gonna keep an eye on it.
Fascinating.
Somebody else got added to it, so we'll keep an eye on it. I'll let you guys know what's going on. Our buddy Brian Gray, he's gonna be on John Newman's podcast that comes out I think Friday. He melted it down again. Surprise! So there's an article that was posted that has all of the tweets that went back and forth. The way it all started was from a tweet from Brian Gray a couple of nights ago. Random thought: if you hide behind a fake name on Twitter, scared to identify yourself, your scaredy cat opinion is worthless. So a bunch of people started responding, and then at Sports Card News responded. And what they mean is if you weren't like at Tim Shepel or at Ben Wilson, that's what he was saying. Sports Card News responded, my name is Ryan Tennards. Your employees end up with your best cards. You get preferential treatment for BGS. You don't have a license because no respectable league would sell one to you. You bought the Leaf brand name for $0 after Razor flopped. Anything else, scrub. They went back and forth for quite some time. On the article, there's a lot of screenshots of the tweets because guess what? Brian deleted like 90% of the tweets again, but then he calls them out and like Zillow. He's like, oh, yeah, my house is worth more than yours. He brings up Zillow prices and talks about Reiner Collins' neighbor's Tesla that they're using as their own. It was great. So, I mean, we'll share the link in the chat so you guys can go take a look at all the screenshots. If you're having a bad day, go through it and read it. It's fun. I don't want to cover everything here because we've talked about Brian Gray melting down before on Twitter, and I was involved with that. It's just like, you're such a goofball. He goes, we answered all your questions, but you're a hack who writes one-sided trash designed, like it just goes back and forth. They call
it's like a midday soap opera.
Yeah.
I went back to read it again because it was so entertaining, and that's when I realized he deleted all of his tweets again. And before the show, Tim and I were Zillowing our house to see who would win if we sued one another, to see whose house was worth more. And just because apparently that's what you have to do now. Whoever's house is worth more. And if you don't own a house, well, you automatically lose based on the Brian Gray school of thought.
Yeah.
So related to the previous, here's one of the mock-ups that Collector's Vault is being hit with.
Yeah, that's one of the ones I've been selling.
Have you ever watched a show and
no,
like a TV show like Sons of Anarchy or Oz, prison show on HBO where there are bad guys and you just don't want them to die because you enjoy their character so much?
Omar Little.
For me, it's the same way with Brian. I never want him to leave the hobby because his inclusion in the hobby is just so great and entertaining that Leaf just needs to always exist. And he always needs to have an active Twitter account.
Yeah. The only thing that they're good for is buying up other companies' cards that are slabbed and reselling them in the product. Because they're standalone, most of their standalone stuff is like these business cards I bought from what are they called? Vistaprint have thicker stock than most of his trading his trading cards.
Now, I recently got a Jose Canseco sent to me, I believe by Valley Collectibles. And it was a base Canseco. Yeah, it was nice. It's shiny if you like the chromium prism type cards. They're not bad per se, but to me, they feel like a step up from an ACO. To me, Panini is a legitimate company that creates really good. Well, they create really good non-licensed.
Could you define legitimate for us? They have a building and then a business address and a business license.
That's true. They probably filed a 1040 easy. I mean, they're legitimate.
TBS Sports Cards is a business.
I like Panini's non-licensed stuff. I think some of their products are really nice, and that's what I'm getting at.
But at least the cardstock quality is mostly, for the most part, pretty good.
I mean, you can say what we've talked about them at length, at nauseum about checklists and this, that, and the other thing. But when you're holding one of their cards, here's
what a Leaf card looks like when you hold it.
I've got one right here. Elite Extra Edition, Sean Murphy, that was gifted to me by a guy named Big Shep 79.
I've heard about that guy.
But it's a legitimate card. It's a nice looking card. I can enjoy this as part of my A's collection. It does not have a license and it doesn't really need it. If Leaf made this, it would be a step below this in my estimation.
Anyway. Yeah, no, I just thought it's funny. I mean, whatever. We tried to have him come on the show, and it is what it is. If we can get him on one day, he's not a guy I want on. I would want him on here, but I had a feeling he would just get mad and leave.
That's the thing is the problem would be you would have to have him be open enough where we could ask him enough questions.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I want to move on. So I want to move on because we have more fun things to talk about than him. So Steph, who's a sleuth here, so there's these 1933 Gaudy and 1915 Cracker Jacks cards that were reprint sets that came out. What you said in the early 90s, Steph?
I want to say Gaudy is 83, 82,
okay, 83.
Somewhere in there, something like that.
Okay, so early 80s. So I want you to explain it because it's pretty in depth. I want you're able to speak because you were the one that kind of went through and saw what was happening here and kind of explain what's going on with these the Gaudis and the Cracker Jack cards and the reprints.
Sure. So I get a notice in my work inbox saying, "Hey, you put this in, and I want you to take a look at it again." So I take a look at it, and I see clear as day that it's a reprint that someone had taken.
So what made it as a reprint for you? So what showed off that it was a reprint?
I'm pulling up the pictures.
Okay.
Here. Let me share that. Strange. But okay, so essentially, 33 Gaudy. It's a pre-war set that really gorgeous coloring. That has some really amazing Babe Ruth cards. The colors are really vibrant, but what they did, for example, for anyone who hasn't seen one, was, where is the window? Boop, boop, boop. So here's the front of one, for example. And aside from not having them in hand, there's really only a few ways that you can tell them apart from a counterfeit. Thankfully, the manufacturer in the 80s made it clear as day that theirs are fake. They added an extra line to the back that says this is a reprint, essentially. But much like the 89 upper decks that allegedly you could take an eraser to any part of them, and here's what a front and back would normally look like. You can kind of tell by the different printing methods. If you had this in hand, you use the little UV light to detect whether anything's been added or subtracted by flashing the light through the card. But seeing them in person visually, there are a few things to look for. So mainly right here is a blank spot, which is where they put out the reprint line. Great, right? Well, the person at work had faded them, and for example, here's the reprint line. Renata Galasso reprint. But the person at work had faded it such that, let me see if I still have the picture. There was a dark brown splotch right here that went past as real and authentic. Because...
so they were able to kind of erase that line and make it go away.
To make it either erase it or make it so that it's hard to detect that it's there. And the closer and closer I looked at it, you can see it clear as day. It's there.
Yeah.
So I did some detective work, and I noticed that there were like 5 or 6 that had also got passed. Same thing, have stands on the back, but they were all from the same person.
Uh-oh. He closed the wrong window.
Steph didn't want to talk about that anymore.
Yeah. So no, Steph called me, and when Steph ever calls me, I know to pick up the phone because I know it's something big that's happening, or he's got a real big topic. I've never heard Steph like as loud. I mean, right now, that's the loudest I've ever heard. He was legit angry when we were talking about this the other day.
Because it's clear as day that the person had altered them and tried to pass them off as real.
Yeah.
Now, if it was just a random somebody who said, hey, okay, toss them in a box and submit them to Comsy, hey, great. We'll grade them, put them in, dump them in. But he had actually priced them as if they were authentic. And much like all of the other detectives at other major forums, I don't stand for that. I want to know that if I'm buying something, that I'm getting what I'm paying for. Not a fake, not a reprint. If it's marked as such, so be it. I know what I'm buying. So I went through his account and I noticed that he had like 6 or 7 of the Gaudis that were listed either in the reprint section or the regular that he was trying to pass off. So I went to his profile and I saw that he had some Crackerjack cards, and those are a bit harder to detect, but essentially it's based on the white on the border versus the jersey colors. On the authentic, I believe they're supposed to bleed into the jersey, the same color, whereas the reprinted ones, the borders are much, much whiter, obviously reprinted later. All of these, he was trying to sell as if they were real.
No, real quick. He could have bought them from someone in a collection or had them and not known they were fake, right?
Sure.
And then sent them in and said, hey, I think they're legit, or they're set away. So either way, but someone is trying to fool somebody with these. Somebody
at some point in time, either the person who submitted them or the person he bought them from that bought them from the person, someone has altered them and is had tried to pass them off as real.
And you said one of them sold for what, like $75?
Yeah, one of them had sold, unfortunately. So they're gonna have to do some research and figure out how to handle the customer service issue, hopefully they'll be able to refund or come up with some comeuppance as far as whatnot. And I know that we're writing a how-to guide on how. Sorry, I gotta go. Oh, damn cold. We're writing a how-to guide on how to detect some of the vintage versus reprint stuff internally, so that we just don't miss those again, because they shouldn't be flagged as such. And, once I looked back at it after that person had flagged it in the system, I looked, and like clear as day, it says reprint right there.
Yeah. No, and it's one of those things. So, be aware if you're doing this, Scott, our buddy Goose, Scott Hermanson, he owns the reprints, so don't think you can pass those off now, bud. We'll be watching.
Right. And I had a really good someone had wrote a guide on just some random person that I found on the Google, but he had a PDF on how to detect the real fakes for multiple different products, and we'll hope to have a link up to that on the website here in a bit.
Yeah. I'm faking
really
87 tops right now.
I don't know if you could reprint those.
Yeah, I'm doing that. So Rally Road offering shares of a T206 Honus Wagner card this Friday. So Sports Collectors Daily, Bob D'Angelo posted this article, and I pulled some of the information. There's a lot more to it, but there's a 1909 Honus Wagner T206 tobacco card.
The Nuns card.
Yep, with the sweet corporal back that goes on sale Friday at noon on the company's website. This card is known as the Nuns Wagner and is shellacked. There is no grade on the card other than being authenticated by SGC. Rally Road is a mobile platform that allows collectors to buy valuable shares of memorabilia at a fraction of the cost. Their company specializes in selling shares of high-end automobiles, but the two owners decided to delve into sports collectibles. So Friday, you're going to be able to buy a share of the card for $52. The company's making 10,000 shares available, so placing a market value of $520,000. The original idea was 5,000 shares at $99 a piece, so a little better price than what they were originally thinking. After the initial offering, the card will be closed to new investors until the first trading window, which generally occurs 30 to 90 days after the initial offering.
To give you an idea, I found an image before it was graded, so here's what the back looks like as well.
There are many cool stories surrounding the T206 Wagner, but the Nuns Wagner made me the most compelling. The card was originally belonged to Thomas Callahan of Stewartstown, PA. He bought the card as a 12-year-old boy in 1936. The card was not in great shape and was shellacked, but Callahan held the card until his death in 2010. Through the years, Callahan became more involved with the School Sisters of Notre Dame in Baltimore. His sister Jane was a member and was also known as St. Mary Vincent Callahan. Earlier this year, or Senior Mary Vincent Callahan. Earlier this year, a 52 mantle card that was graded near mint by SCG7 was snapped up in a matter of minutes by 264 investors at $132 a share. The second one they've done was a 71 game used autographed jersey from Hall of Famer Willie Mays during the final season with the Giants at $28.50 a share, with 2,000 shares available, and was bought out within 15 minutes of hitting the market. So they've done this 2 times already on some pretty cool items, and the Wagner's up for one. And so it goes into more detail, the article, about the Nuns card and how it got to the school, and but it's pretty awesome. If you wanted to say, hey, I own a T206 Wagner for $52, you can own a share.
So what I'm gathering is I need to chip in like $17. Tim needs to chip in like $17, and Ben needs to chip in like $17.
So About the Cards owns 1 share.
Mm-hmm. That would be pretty fun, right?
I would want to know if there's a disclaimer that says that they're not allowed to dilute the stocks like you can do with, the stock market, and my share is now worthless because you sold more stocks against mine.
Yeah,
right.
There's got to be some kind. I mean, if you're familiar with the Facebook, how that one happened and how they were able to eliminate certain people off of the masthead and ownership. You can do a lot of nefarious things with stocks. So I'd want to make sure that we're protected before we even invest $1, let alone $52.
Yeah, well, we have
we have a guy who knows about things.
About 30 hours or so. So I just thought it was an interesting idea, right? Like you can say, like, hey, yeah, I own a T206 Wagner. That's how I roll.
A Ruth Relic card and a T206 Wagner. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 87 Bo Jackson and a Wagner. You know?
Yeah. So didn't you guys go to the shop this week and pick some up?
Yeah, no. So yeah, Ben hit me up and he was like, "Hey, I have a meeting in the area. I'm gonna swing by for a minute at Teammates." And so I was like, "Dude, let me know. I'll be over there." So I jammed over there. We met up for a few minutes. I had a stack of cards here for him, in big dollar cards. Nick Johnson and Adrian Morel cards. You haven't even opened them? Have you gone through them yet?
I haven't because I've been busy with work.
Oh,
but
okay.
I was going to throw you a shout out, and then I picked out a couple of Maguire's, and I asked him. I was like, "Hey, you got a couple of bucks, like cash?" Because I didn't want to swipe my card for like $2.
Right.
And so he was buying some stuff, and he was gracious enough to say, "Hey, put it on my tab." So
Yeah.
I was going to save that shout out, but yeah, I got a couple Maguire's here, and you can finish
It's
your
fun.
story.
We hadn't seen each other in a little bit, and so it was good to do that, and smell each other's musk.
It was. We got a nice hug in the middle of the store, and then I said, "Hey, I hooked up with Big Shep at the shop yesterday," and everybody liked the tweet, and not one person, because of the words I used, I hooked up with Big Shep. Not one. That's what she said. Joke. I was a little disappointed.
That's only because I didn't see the tweet.
Especially because Steph didn't do it.
I ran into an old manager of mine who I see a few times there, my buddy Paul Motto, and back in the day, one of my first retail managers, and it's great to see him. And he's got an awesome collection. I don't think he collects anything before like 65, so he's got a neat collection of stuff. Yeah, but it's not the best graded stuff, but it's like, hey, I have that. I have that 54 mantle. And then he always kind of upgrades himself. So
what 54 mantle?
I'm just pulling a number out of my head.
Is it the 54 Topps mantle that they never made? Is that what it was? I mean, it could be the 54 Bowman.
No, I don't know. I'm just pulling. Like I said, I'm just pulling out a number, dude. Like, I have that 61 mantle.
Just make it. They made a 61 mantle, so you're good.
But you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, right.
Those are the kind of things like Lou Alcindor cards, right? Like Bob Hayes and Elvin Hayes and all those guys. Like, that's what he goes after, and it's awesome to see. So
I saw
some guy named Hank Aaron. Oh, real quick, did you see that tweet earlier? And I don't know who sent it out. I forgot to have the notes, but the dude that his boss said, "Oh yeah, I collect cards, or I have some cards," and he brought in like binders, and there were nothing but pages of like Spawn and Aaron, and I was like, "What in the hell?"
Oh yeah, I just got dupes of those. It's okay.
Yeah, like whose boss just kind of overhears a small conversation about trading cards, and then all of a sudden just rolls up with a
57
ridiculous
Maze, 58, 59 Killer, 60 Snyder, 60 Banks, 60 60 Frank Herrera, not the rare version of 58. Koufax, Kubek, Koufax, Spawn, Pee Wee Reese, Bob Clemente. Say it how you will. I've heard it both ways.
Well, it's Clemente, so that's how we say it.
Yeah, it's Bob Clemente.
Hank Aaron, I've heard
Stouffer Lofner, a Mantle. There's the 86 Mantle up there. Yeah.
59.
I'm kidding. 59 was a good luck. I like that card.
Right?
That's not too bad. I had an opportunity to trade for one. I've got most of the ones in the 60s, and I've got a 56, but most I had an opportunity to trade for a 59, but it was from our friend Brad. So, he's like, Beckett value, and I'm like, oh, you stupid son of a gun.
Yeah. He's kind of a dum-dum. But no, I thought that was cool. So I borrowed this from misappropriated this from Bo. 1 million Cubs. Collecting goals for 2020. So, Steph, what are your collecting goals for 2020?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
You thought about it.
No. So I'd my 2019 goal was to finish the top set. I was down to like 4, 5, 6 cards for the Twins run. And I did at the National. I got the last card, I think, on Friday, and it was good for the rest of the weekend. 2020, I'd like to knock out a good bit of OPG Some of those are a bit harder to find. And maybe have to go hunt through Canada while I'm up there this year.
They're going to let you leave the country?
Well, they're going to have to. Well, hopefully not, but that's another story. I'd like to knock out the last few remaining Senators. I think I need like a 51 and 252s, both high series, of course. And I would like to get organized.
Let's get organized.
Because I have way too many 5,000 count boxes laying around that need sorted, that need binder, need pages. Hey, Tim, hit me up. I think those are 3 major good goals to shoot for next year.
Nice, yeah. We know Ben's is to collect every A's card, but do you have anything outside of that?
Yeah, I need to cut down on buying as many autos and relics, especially ones that are new. I mean, I like manufactured relics, I do, but like buying 50 Chris Davis autos is unnecessary. I still need like 8,800 A's cards against all the team sets. So what I'd like to do is maybe get a good 500 to 1,000 of those out of the way.
Nice.
But in order to create enough money, a lot of that stuff can be bought for $1 or $2 as a team set. But the more money I spend over here is the less money I can spend over there. So we kind of shift what's important. I'd like to cut into that and get more of the Super A's team collection out of the way.
Sure.
Oh, that's cool. Mine's kind of along the lines as Steph is get organized. Or let's get organized. I've really gotten a good start on it, as you can see behind me. I need to get my, it's basically sorting all my Giants and Royals cards. I have like master or like monster boxes full of just all Royals or all Giants, and I need to get down to go through and see what I have for team sets. And similar to Ben, it's like really focusing on what I'm collecting and why I'm kind of collecting it. Like, walking away from as many autos or autographs and relics, and kind of focusing like, hey, like I really like that one inserts, jersey insert. Like, hey, I'm going to go after that one for that, for that guy or this year, or that auto set, and kind of have it be my one. And 2 is just kind of expand what I offer when I set up at shows. Looks like I'm going to be able to continually be able to do that. And I have a lot of fun. And so building my, my inventory for the shows and having fun doing that. And so as we kind of get off topic, that's kind of what I want to do. I just real quick as we get out, I forgot to put this in the notes, but lately, like we talked about like honey holes, right? A couple shows ago, and I've been killing it. If you have big lots near you, I've been finding a ton of 2018 product, football, basketball, and baseball, a lot of baseball fat packs, and they've been like $375 for a fat pack, and you hit one rookie card out of that, it's gonna, it's a decent rookie. You're gonna probably pay for that pack, and then there's other stuff in there, and then some. I've seen basketball and some football stuff, and so there's been some 17 football I've seen. For a couple bucks, it's been a lot of fun to go through and pick those up and open them and see what's there. Some people have, they just try to flip the packs. I thought about it, but I was like, you know what? Let's open these and see. And like, I think I pulled out a couple of Soto rookies the other day and a couple of Kuna update rookies and a Series 2 Gleaver short print. And I was just having fun doing it. So I like to share that, if you sign up with the rewards thing, I got a coupon that was like spend 50, save $15. So that gave me like five free packs almost. Nice. I was like super jazzed. I was like, awesome, let's go do this. And so that's some fun stuff that I've been kind of doing and kind of find off the beaten path. I know that was a Party City had him. I haven't been as lucky there, but if you're just out and about, do that. I met the guy that stocks at the Walmart across the street from my house, and we had a full-on conversation last Friday for about 25 minutes at like 7:30 in the morning because I ran to grab diapers, and he let me be there while he opened all the boxes that he had, and we were talking about theft and merchandising and all this stuff. And he said, I like finding guys that collect or that appreciate what's in these boxes, and it's not going to rip them off and steal them. And so, hey, if you come by and you see me here, and I'll show you what, and I'll let you have first dibs on everything that I get. And I was like, sweet. So I'm going to maybe meet up with him this Friday and see what's going on. But it's just kind of interesting to see that side. I've never been a big retail guy, but lately with Prizm coming out, that's been the most affordable that I found to do Prizm. And I believe with a trade that came through today, I have 2 complete full sets. I'm kind of be done with Prizm. So
semi-related to a topic that he'd hit on there. I sent this to Dub, but I saw a post on Reddit that on our baseball cards. Just going through the collection with the boy, this is what it's all about. Might sell some, but we'll rather trade this. They will all belong to him in about 15 years. But if you look at some of the cards, there's Ron Gant, Griffey, Alomar, Jose, Chipper,
Glavine, Clemens, McGuire,
Bonds, Clemens.
Does that feel? Yeah, it's Bo Jackson. Yeah,
but that's what I want to hope to see more in 2020.
Yeah.
People enjoying their hobby with the family.
Well, I made an offer on a football card, a Baker Mayfield Prizm card, 3 weekends ago, and they had it for like $20 a best offer, and I shot out like 13 or 14 bucks because for shipping it would have been like 17. Anyway, the guy came back and said, "Hey, my son and I collect these, and we're selling in this extra one we have. He's not here. He's 8. I want to ask him if he wants to take your offer." He told me the lowest he would take would be 15. And I can put in a score Baker Mayfield if you want to do the deal now. And I was like, I love that. I said back to myself, I love this. Let's do it. You don't have to send me the other extra Mayfield. Your story's awesome enough, that you and your son are like, hey, like, okay, well, we got an extra Mayfield. We can make a few bucks off this to go buy more cards to continue and perpetuate what we're doing together. And I was like, dude, you had me. I don't know if it's because I'm a dad now, I'm a softie now, but it really made me like, oh, dude, that's cool. This is kind of that's what I would love to do.
Yeah, you're finding somebody in the hobby that's not after, the dollar box trying to flip it for $10 down the road. You're seeing somebody that, hey, I've got an extra one. There's a monetary value. Let's sell this so that we can redivert that $15 into things in our hobby that we don't have yet.
Yeah. And there's a collector friend of ours whose son is really getting into collecting and likes basketball. So I found a bunch of his favorite team here at the house, and so I'm getting a package together to send out to him. So he has them sent directly to him with his name and everything, so he can open it. And it's to him, and it's like, hey, these are cards I could flip because it's a local team here, but it's like, no, it means more going to this guy, to this kid, because he will appreciate them. And he'll binder them up or pay, whatever he wants to do with them, and then show them off. So that's what I love. So, yeah. Quick shout out to our collecting brother Shane Salmonson. Tweeted out, "So my family assisted me in asking an important question on Thanksgiving. Spoiler alert: she said yes." So Shane tweeted out a photo of a bunch of family members holding up a great bunch of letters. Said "Marry me," I believe, right?
Yeah, it's surprising that he had all these family members and not one of them tried to talk him out of it. Amazing.
Or talk her out of it.
Yeah. So, yeah, he had this, So all are up there, "Marry me," and spoiler alert, yeah, she said yes, which is super cool. So congrats to Shane. He's an awesome dude in the hobby. If you're not following Shane, definitely check him out.
And check out his article that just got posted today on Beckett.
Yeah. So definitely a good follow there.
I think he broke 1996's Pinnacle Zenith Series 2.
Oh, nice. That's how crazy the hobby was back then, man. Like Zenith Series 2, really? Like, okay. We will not have a show in 2 weeks as it's Christmas Day. By the way, I'm just letting you guys know now. I didn't tell you before the show, but I thought that made sense not to do a show on Christmas Day.
I saw the show notes.
But we'll be live on New Year's Day night. So come and hang out with us on the end of New Year's Day. Hopefully, we'll all be recovered by then, but we'll have a show on New Year's Day.
So I've got a couple quick shout outs, if I may.
Go ahead.
I was going to throw a shout out to my hobby brother, Big Shep, for what he did, but we already talked about that earlier. But I appreciate him showing up at the LCS, and we had 5 minutes together. And I got a quick package from our friend Trader Cracks, who threw me a couple of the Matt Chapman holiday cards. Ryan's a great dude. We need to have him back on the show.
As long as you don't lock him out of the car at Walmart.
A shout out to my dad for picking up this early Christmas gift, a Transcendent McGuire auto numbered out of 15.
Ooh.
And it's green, so I'll get a better picture up on Twitter of that. A anti-shout out for our hobby brother, Stefan, for being a jerk ass and tagging me on 1991 Topps. How do I get pre-production backs? They made 10 cards total, and 4 of them were A's. So I got Randolph and Weiss. This backwards camera sucks, dude. Figuring out where we're at. There we go. But the other 2 are Canseco and Ricky Henderson. Thank God they didn't make a McGuire.
Hey, real quick. Go ahead. Keep going.
But something cool came in the mail that I don't know if you guys have, but our friend KBO Collectibles, George, sent me these.
Nice.
Couple of packs of KBO cards from Korea. I don't know if I can get this close enough, but on the back, it's all in Korean.
Nice.
So if you want the pack odds, I cannot give them to you.
Sorry.
As well as he, I'm not going to be able to do this justice, but I'll tweet out some pictures. But he sent me a few singles as well. And they're nice card stock. They're pretty friggin' cool. I got a package from South Korea, and I opened it up, and I'm like, obviously this isn't part of my PC. It's not A's cards, but I was ecstatic to get these because they're so neat, and it's part of the hobby that
they are.
I have never seen. At least I've never touched them, and I know our friend Dan, Korean Cardboard, collects that. It's neat for them to be able to share part of their hobby with us here in America. That cards that we don't really get,
right,
and might never see, And so I'm gonna set those aside so that Tim can see them in person, and I'll take some better pictures and share those. And obviously, want to show KBO some Twitter love, but
definitely he shot me a similar package with an ex twin that had started out in the Korean baseball organization.
It's fun, One of our YouTube listeners or viewers this evening was talking about, he kind of came in late. James was talking about his Pokemon. It's kind of nice that we have other parts of the hobby that we don't necessarily touch on all the time.
Mm-hmm.
The non-sports side, the KBO side,
the vintage.
Vintage, especially pre-war, things that are still part of the greater hobby that get lost because we're always focused on the next release.
2019, 2020.
And that's kind of what we built the show on. It is kind of being like a news, hey, this is what's going on currently, and then we pick up other things as we go along. I think we haven't done a Sunday Spotlight in a while, and I think we need to get back as a podcast. That's one of my goals for the 2020 is to have more, maybe once a month, do a Sunday Spotlight, kind of have a collector spotlight where we get to talk in depth about vintage. Because I think doing a segment for 10 minutes doesn't do it justice, where a half-hour show would, and
sure.
I think that would be some fun. So if you have some topics or things you want to see discussed, hit us up on Twitter about the cards, or wherever. You can email us about the cards pod@gmail, or if you want to be on the show because you have a specialty you want to talk about, we're all ears. So hit any of us up real quick. When Ben and I were at the shop on yesterday. Greg, the owner, said, "Hey man, you guys see this free card I got yesterday?" He was down at what he called, a card shop in San Jose where his friends Dan and Doug work. No, enough. That's Mojo's shop, and they had a bunch of Black Friday packs, and he goes and he picks a thick pack. Goes, open this up, and they're like, "Dude, this stuff's not been good this year." He's like, "We're not." He's like, "If you want to open it, it's yours. It's whatever it is yours." And he opens it up, and it's a giant Pelicans patch 1 of 1 Zion Williamson.
She was beautiful. I mean,
like it was the smaller logo was probably an inch by like a stamp size, but it was
maybe
Pelican.
about a dime size, maybe a little bit larger than a dime.
Yeah, well, it was like probably the size of a stamp, right?
Yeah, somewhere in there. It was nice,
it was the Pelican. It was like the beak and the chest of that logo. It was a thick card too. It was like super thick, and it's like, damn.
It's like I already sold it to somebody down in Texas.
Yeah. So
wasn't me.
So
no. Hey, real quick, do you have this one?
Yeah, I do.
Print. Okay. I want to make sure. I just found it.
I mean, I'll take another one, but yeah, I have one.
Anyway, it's been a lot of fun tonight, fellas. I'm glad that Ben's back from assignment, and I'm glad that Steph's not hurt too bad to hang out with us tonight.
Definitely.
So, that's kind of our final thoughts. Remember, live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific.
10 Central, 11
Make sure
Eastern,
to subscribe.
And 1 Korean.
Make sure to subscribe and review our show on all platforms. Follow us on Twitter about the cards. Follow Ben at our trading cards. Follow Steph at Junkwax Twins. You can just follow me at Big Shep 79. Please share your hobby stories, great polls, and your questions our way. Just keep collecting. We appreciate you all, and we'll see you next week.
Of course.